So let's start with the first question. So that is, what types of post-diagnosis support were you offered following the, yeah.
Well, I was diagnosed in 2017, but I didn't get any kind of post-diagnostic support. For one thing is that there was no post-diagnostic support back in 2017. And some more because I'm young onset, that make it even more difficult to get some kind of support. So for the first 2 years, I didn't get any kind of referral to the Dementia Singapore, which was previously known as Alzheimer Disease Association. Yeah, so only 2 years later, I was referred to it. So it was very difficult when I received the diagnosis. Yeah, because you sort of you don't know what is dementia for a young person, and to manage it on our own, my family and me, it was very difficult. We don't even know where to get the resources. Yeah.
That must be so, because they don't, the GPs or even those professionals don't even know where the support is available oftentimes in certain countries. Now, I think it's getting a bit better probably in Singapore, but yeah, in other countries, there's just nothing there. It's unbelievable. So you're lucky if you come, you cross paths with an association like Dementia Singapore, but it's completely up to luck really, or who you know, or, yeah. Thank you, Emily. So yes, the second question is, did you feel supported? Do you still feel supported? And was the help you needed available?
Well, in terms of for myself, I felt that I still not received the support, the necessary support. Like, I was struggling with my language, and until now I'm still struggling with my language. I will need to have a speech therapist to work with me, but to get a referral to a speech therapist is very difficult in Singapore unless you go for a private one, and private one is just too costly because it's on hourly basis. So I only managed to after many times of appeal, I managed to see a speech therapist for one time only, and that was because I was choking real bad, and whether in whatever position, whether it's I'm eating, lying, or just basically sitting up, I would choke, and it get to the point that it was so bad that I start to the neurologist whom I'm seeing start to realize that okay, he better get me a referral to see a speech pathologist. And that is where she do all the testing and found that in terms of my what you call she do the very basic one, which normally is to see whether do you have difficulty in swallowing and things like that, which I don't have difficulty in swallowing. It's just I have choking. And of course, it's a very basic assessment. So she couldn't tell me what is causing it. So then I told her that there are things that like certain words I had difficulty in pronouncing it, and I struggle with words. So she teach me some of the skill to do it, and I have been putting it in place. Like for example, if it's a very long word, I try to take my time and break it into different parts, and pronounce it. Yeah, and so that is the one-time support that I get. Right. And so in terms of my daily life functioning, like my cooking, baking, and not taking public transport and things like that, I'm very much on my own. There is no rehabilitation or occupational therapists to teach me and guide me. And because all this had to be referred by the neurologist, and because they see that I'm still functioning, they don't see there is a need to refer me to all this kind of therapy. So that's why I'm very much on my own, and that's why I find my own ways to maintain my functioning, and that is where the cognitive therapy by rehabilitations by Professor Linda Clare was come in very handy to me to assist me as a form of a support that I needed, but is until now to this day is still not there. And the same is for other people who are living with dementia, a young onset especially, and those who are still looks very okay, you know, from the outside. Yeah, so they're also not so I'm sharing what I have with the other people also, so that they can maintain their functioning, also can take public transport. What are the strategy to put in, continue to do your whatever work or things that you love to do.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because basically it's left up to you to find support, you know, additional support to maintain your functioning and to make sure you can live well. So, okay, that's really, really interesting. Thank you for that. And it kind of ties into the third question also, is was a care plan developed with you after the diagnosis?
No, there was no such kind of talk or plan, but the only thing is I was advised to do this the advanced planning, you know, and also the find the what is the other one called, the LPA, no, yeah. So to me is that even though I know these are very good things to do, but I felt that upon a diagnosis, a person living with dementia who just newly diagnosed, this is too much to tell us that, okay, now we have to look into finding, you know, someone to be our voice one day when we cannot, when we are still in a state of shock, and support is more important than putting all these legal document in place. So that was the only support, and that is the only plan that was put into me and advised me to go and do this LPA and things like that. And other than that, there is no talk of how to, know what me and my family will need to look into, or some other thing. And I remember there was a mention of daycare center that I can look into, or memory care center and things like that. Those are the services run by Dementia Singapore and some of the local NGO here. And for me is that is not the place for me, because I'm still very functioning. I don't need to go into a daycare center or a memory center and things like that. No, I still want to continue my life as what I am and what I can still do. And yeah, that there is no one to sit down and talk with. And it just basically, once you are given this diagnosis, is talking about the LPA, and other than that, if you are old enough, they refer you to all the what you call the
daycare centers and the memory.
Yeah, so that's it. Full stop.
Yes, whereas as you say, that's not what you want to hear when you've just received a diagnosis. You probably, as you were saying, maybe want a bit of counseling just to get through the shock of the whole thing, and just process that, and also your loved ones and relatives, also for them to process that, and then from then you can start deciding what kind of care plan that's adapted to your situation, not just, you know, oh, everyone who's diagnosed with dementia will just send them to these centers, when essentially your experience is that's not what you need right now. You need something else, isn't it?
I think that is
really frustrating, isn't it?
The plan that they follow is not people-centered.
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
individualized. It's just
Mhm.
a generic thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Once you are diagnosed, that this is 1, 2, 3. This is what they will refer
Well,
you. They don't take into account the severity of your impairment. They don't take into account what is the wish list of the person,
yeah.
and they then take into the account of what is the the capacity of the person. You don't just assume and lump everyone that is diagnosed into one category, and then everybody is the same. So you receive the same care plan and whatever. So that is something that even in Singapore, I felt that even with the post-diagnostic system put in place that is currently run by Dementia Singapore, there is still a lot of things to do, because it has to be, it has to be people-centered. It has to be
100%.
about the person, and it should not be a generic, just apply, cut across through. I know that it is, of course, when you talk about individualized care plan, it is very time consuming, it's very costly in terms of resources and things like that. But I felt that if a post-diagnostic support is for the first year, and the first year is so critical, it has to be person individualized centered.
Yeah. Oh yes, and I think in the long run it does save a bit of money, because if you put in place a post-diagnostic care plan, it's done properly, a person can live well, for longer at home, and sometimes the situation can improve slightly, or and it's just, I don't understand why
Yes,
it's taking so long for people to realize that.
Yeah, because it is not about, it's not like a processing plan, that we are not numbers, case number, okay, to be handled and managed. I felt that, like, for example, in my case, if when I was upon the diagnosis, and now there is a care plan put to me, and listen to what I still want to do, and what I can still do. And what are the things that my family can do to support me? I think these are very important, because like what you say, if we start in a very positive, empowering note, after that one whole year of holding our hand to work together in this first year journey, I think from the second year onward, it will be so much easier, and the person and the family will know where to look, because you have shown them, okay, this is, in case like this is where you go and look for the resources. Then the person and the family members will feel that they are in control, rather than they have to keep on counting on to the post-diagnostic support. Because I do come across people who are not able to, who still hold on to, even though after 1 year, they just feel inadequate and not able to work on their own. So that should bring into the question of how effective is the post-diagnostic support, and why is the person not empowered, neither is the family members. So these are the questions that need to be looked into, and it is sometimes it's quite easy for an association to feel that, because lack of manpower and things like that, this is the possible. This is one of the possible reasons, but I'm sure there is more. If you dig deeper, there are other reasons.
And I think you're right. The key word here is empowerment. How do we empower these people to be able to, manage their situation somewhat based on their needs and their capabilities and what they want to do, I completely agree with you on that. Thank you for that. And the final question, and actually you have mentioned that slightly in your previous answer, but what would you change to improve things?
Well, first thing is something that I have been doing is I have been providing the support for the people who are newly diagnosed, and then if I get to know them, and then for those who are still living with dementia, I felt that there is a need to continue to have that kind of support. So post-diagnostic support should not be just a 1 year, but there need to be something like after the first year of intensive post-diagnostic support, there should be some kind of follow-up for all these people, you know, because along our journey, we still need some kind of support system in place as our condition go down the hill. And so that is this lack of, you know, support. And what are these support? Unless you are the person who are living with dementia and the family, it is very hard for a caseworker or anybody to actually know. So to hear direct from all these people who have gone through that, you know, that early journey or middle journey or end stage journey is very important to get the ideas of how to provide the support at different stages of the journey.
Right.
And so then the other thing is something which Tomofumi from Japan has been doing. That is the Orange Door initiative. That is to have, you know, people living with dementia and have a room for the people living with dementia very near to the clinic that the person newly diagnosed. That this person with dementia who is newly diagnosed have a chance to meet other people who have been living with dementia for a while and get to hear from them. How is it when they first receive the diagnosis? How do they overcome the initial difficult acceptance, and that grief, that anxiety, and then how do they move on? And the same thing is that for the care partner who suddenly had to take on this caregiving role, to hear it from someone who has been looking after person living with dementia for a while is very empowering. So this is what I am, you know, hoping, and actually I'm still advocating, and hopefully one day, keeping my finger crossed, that, you know, it will become a reality because it is needed.